Hello, New Orleans Saints fans. I am Todd Graffinini. This is John DeShazer. It is the penultimate edition, number 18, of the New Orleans Saints Training Camp Report right here on CST. John DeShazer. It is hard to believe, but through all of these shows, through all these training camp practices, we are this close for it to be over. A lot has happened since we first started doing these shows outside on the practice field and inside as well at the Oshner Sports Performance Center.
Did you say 18? Because it feels like 38. I mean, it's been a while. Now, has it been as tough as it could be for us? No, because we hadn't had all those practices outside. We actually beat the Heat for a good stretch of this training camp. I think it was beneficial to these guys because you don't want to get to the point where the heat really overtakes them and the concentration wanes. I think going inside allowed them to be a little bit more comfortable, but certainly to get the work done. And that's the main thing.
No question about it. And also consider that the Saints will play their next 3 games inside the friendly confines of the Caesars Superdome. So, JD, let's talk a little in generalizations about this training camp. Pick a player offensively, pick a player defensively. Who do you think has shined during this camp?
Well, if I had to go on offense, and I know we've talked a lot about Marquez Callaway and we've talked about a lot about Tony Jones Jr., but I think Juwan Johnson, the tight end, I think he has really shown that he can present some problems in a receiver position. I think he really gives you a mismatch against linebackers. Let's remember, he started as a receiver. He runs routes as a receiver. He's got receivers' hands. So I think he can give you a mismatch in that area. Now, is he going to be the next, Travis Kelce? I don't know that yet because he's a young player, but he does seem to present some matchup problems from that area. And on defense, look, I've got to go with Ken Crawley. I think Ken Crawley has had a fantastic NFL training camp for the Saints. Hopefully it is something that will carry over into the season. We saw this Ken Crawley in 2017 when he stepped into the starting lineup. Hopefully mentally and physically he's where he needs to be because he's made a lot of good plays in this training camp.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Marquez Callaway on offense. With Traquan Smith going out very early in training camp, Callaway really had to step up as the wide receiver 1, and he has absolutely looked the part. He played very, very well in that preseason game against Baltimore. Defensively, JD, I'm going to go with Zack Bond. He has stepped up his game as well and, of course, was all over the place in Baltimore. But, the regular fan does not see what Bond is doing during daily training camp practices. He is basically doing the same thing in workouts as well. So I think it's going to be very refreshing and relieving for the coaching staff knowing that if Demario Davis or if Quan Alexander have to maybe take a little breather during a game, they're not going to have a whole lot of drop-off with Zack Bond coming off the bench. Now, someone else who's had a little position change here during training camp is Ty Montgomery. He was pretty much a running back a year ago, had to move to the wide receiver slot out of necessity. He has strictly been a wide receiver during this camp, JD.
Yeah, he was a running back most of the last season. If you remember, he ran for 100 yards in the regular season finale against Carolina because there was no other running back basically available because of COVID-19 issues. So he showed what he can do as a running back, but he came into this league as a receiver. That's why he wears the number 88 that he does, and that's exclusively what he's been in this training camp.
Here is Ty Montgomery on the position change.
I played receiver before. I can do it. It's a lot more running, a lot less physicality, but it is what it is. It's not the first time I've done it.
Does it remove any clutter to not have to worry about any running back reps?
There's a little bit of that for sure, yeah, like not going back and forth in between both rooms. Just staying in one room is definitely helpful, but I can always just go run the ball. Let's just run this way, run that way, read the blocks, and make a play.
When did that conversation happen? I know you played a little bit of both, but now just taking reps with receivers.
I think it was like the day before the first practice. Like, as soon as I got back, I was like, all right, cool, let's do it.
Sounds like it doesn't make, you're cool with whatever, it doesn't make a difference.
I'm cool with whatever. I just love ball. I just want to play football. I don't care. I like blocking. I like running with the ball, without the ball, getting open, catching the ball, making plays. I'm just grateful to be a part of the team.
Well, JD, safety J.T. Gray has been outstanding on special teams in his Saints career, specifically on the punt coverage team. Now, his old teammate, Justin Hardy, no longer with the Saints, got to find somebody else as his running mate on the other side. Historically, the Saints have been very, very good in punt coverage.
Well, Justin Hardy was a perfect complement to J.T. Gray. Now, J.T. Gray was an All-Pro in 2019, so he's one of the best in the business, and Justin Hardy really was his equal on the other side. So big cleats to fill if you're talking about a guy who's going to be the gunner and the jammer on the other side and hopefully live up to that legacy.
Here is J.T. Gray on who the next running mate is.
You know, we got guys that's stepping up to fill that role. Then going to be some pretty big shoes to fill because Justin done made his mark here, and you know what I'm saying, working on filling those shoes and with these guys that we have now.
Are you having to kind of groom those guys a little bit?
Oh yeah, for sure. Grooming them up, teaching them everything that I know, and they coming with me with questions whenever they have them, and I'm helping them whenever I can. You know, having talks with Phil and Riz and getting everything situated.
Is there anybody that stood out to you so far, just in, doing some of the gunner stuff like that?
We got a couple guys that's standing out. We got Baker, we got 2-9. Couple more guys, but those are the two guys that stood out to me for right now.
When we return to the New Orleans Saints training camp report right here on CST, we'll talk a little wide receiver play, specifically with wide receivers coach Curtis Johnson. We'll hear from new wide receiver Kevin White. All that and more coming up on the show. It's the New Orleans Saints training camp report right here on CST, presented by SeatGeek. Welcome back to the show, New Orleans Saints training camp report right here on CST. I'm Todd Graffanini. This is John DeShazer. Wide receiver, JD, has been a very big topic during this training camp. It is a very young group, a very inexperienced group as well. And we've had wide receivers coach Curtis Johnson on this show plenty of times. We all know about his coaching style, very enthusiastic. He's got some work to do this year with all the inexperience.
He's among the best in the business at what he does, and he's got some work cut out for him because when you start a season without Michael Thomas, when you start a training camp and Traquan Smith immediately gets injured, and then you have some other nicks, and then you have to add some guys new later in training camp, it's always a real hard job to integrate those players and to get them up to speed on what you want to do in terms of offense and what they're supposed to be doing as receivers. And yet Curtis Johnson, again, one of the best in the business, and so he's the one who's pulling these guys together.
It's always fun and interesting to listen to wide receivers coach Curtis Johnson. Here he is.
Well, I think you coach the best players the hardest. Just because those other guys will fall right in line. If the good guys are being coached hard and not anywhere doing anything wrong, but it's just coaching them for detail. If you coach those guys detail, I think all those other guys will fall in line. It's a great opportunity to have some young guys come in. They can run around. Yes, you see they're making a lot of plays out here. Just getting the offense is a little bit challenging for some of them. It's just a little eonces of it, but I'm telling you, it's exciting. I'm happy to see them because these guys are playmakers. Every time it's like you get a new group in, and it kind of just invigorates you. It gets you going a little bit. In the morning, you got a lot to talk about. They call you all hours of the night, which is good. We talk all the time. It's just fun having them. And then the best thing about it is you see success. They're out there, they're making plays. They playing hard too, and they're blocking.
Well, JD mentioned that we have been signing wide receivers really throughout training camp. One of those wide receivers is Kevin White, signed off the street basically a couple of days ago. Here he is.
CJ had a big influence. He stays on me pretty hard, especially in Chicago. He was pushing me and never wanting me to settle and just reminding me how people feel and look at me. If I have a good day and kind of feeling myself, he'll calm me down. Whereas now is still on me. Day one, he's protect the ball, run, just the little things that a coach may let you slide on. CJ's all over it, so I appreciate that, and it definitely makes me better.
When we return to the New Orleans Saints training camp report, we'll wrap up the show. John DeShazer and myself, Todd Graffanini, right here on CST. Final segment, New Orleans Saints training camp report right here on CST. I'm Todd Graffanini. This is John DeShazer. We talked about linebacker Zack Bond earlier in the show. My defensive surprise of this training camp. JD, he's got a lot of fans in this building right now, and it's been well earned. He has deserved the playing time that he's gotten just because of his play on the field.
Well, think about what he's attempting to do. He's trying to basically move from defensive end to linebacker. A lot easier said than done because Zack Bond in college at Wisconsin did not have to drop into coverage a ton of times. So he's had to learn that kind of on the fly in the NFL. Got his feet wet a bit as a rookie, but now he really seems to have grasped what he needs to do.
Here is head coach Sean Payton on the play of linebacker Zack Bond.
You got to remember, he was an on-the-ball player at Wisconsin, so he's an on-the-ball kind of outside backer, rush type player, and now he's playing more in a stack, in a true linebacker position, different than what he knew and what he became comfortable with in college. So it was brought up in the meeting. We've seen definite growth with him in that role, and that was our vision when we drafted him.
Well, linebacker Demario Davis, not only a fan of Zack Bond, but also the young linebacking crew. A lot of praise for these young kids. Aren't really kids anymore because of their playing time. Here's Demario Davis.
It shouldn't be understated, you know, the growth that those young guys have had. All of them did a good job of understanding, you know, taking the coaching and understanding, you know, our system, and then doing a good job of understanding what it takes to play the position at this level against other teams. And when we went into the last game, there was no concerns at the linebacker position. We knew that those guys were going to be ready.
We'll see you next time. New Orleans Saints Training Camp Report right here on CST, presented by SeatGeek.